Hello everyone, this is Zafar Abundance Wala and you're watching Abundance Show on Global Abundance Organization Television, GAO TV. Elizabeth Donati is a health wealth educator who spent over 3 decades helping people simply two of the most overwhelming areas of life, their health and their money. Her work has always been driven by something personal. She got into fitness world because she simply wanted to feel strong, healthy herself. That curiosity eventually turned into a career helping others do same. Later, she shifted into financial education after realizing something that stopped her in her tracks. No one had ever really taught her how money works. And as she started paying attention, she saw that it wasn't just her. Most adults were trying to figure it out as they went. They led her to create hands on financial education experience for kids and families, including programs like Camp Millionaires and Money Game, designed to make money practical, understandable, and even fun. Her path into health coaching and AI was also born out of necessity. After facing her own health challenges and not getting the answer she needed, she started digging deeper, asking better questions, and ultimately taking a much more active role in her own healing. Today, she helps others to do the same, guiding people to think more clearly, ask better questions, clean up all areas of life, and feel more confident navigating both their health and their fit finances. More recently, she has been focused on teaching people how to use AI as a personal health thinker partners, helping more than cut through the noise, organize information, and make more empowered decisions in a system that often leave them feeling overwhelmed. At the core of everything she does is a simple goal: to teach and guide people to feel more capable, more confident, and more in control of their lives. Welcome aboard, Dr. Donati. How are you doing, Elizabeth?
Well, I've never been called Dr. Donati, but I've doctored a lot of things. I've doctored a lot of spaghetti sauce and doctored a lot of things. But
You have already written the book
thank
on
you.
health.
It's nice to
You are
be
much
here.
more than a doctor. Again, my first question is, Donati, about your life journey. Can you walk us through the corridors of your life?
No, that's an interesting way of asking the corridors of my life. Um, I well, I think what explains a lot of who I am is the fact that I grew up on two farms. Not just one, but two different farms. One in Michigan and one in Oregon. And so, very, very early on in life, I learned that um, nature knows best. You know,
Exactly.
I learned that. By the way, I only see myself now. I don't see the two of you. Is that what's supposed to happen? I'm just checking
Yeah,
in.
it's okay. I mean, this will keep
Um,
will keep changing. I
I
mean, yeah.
Oh, okay, okay. I mean, it's nice to see you guys' face. There you go. Yeah, that's nice to see you guys' face too. Anyway,
We are there.
yeah,
We are
we had
there. Yeah.
animals, and I learned how to do gardening, and my mom, my mom did all kinds of stuff. We learned how to can things and grow things and kill things and feed chickens and take care of horses and cows and everything. And I know that number one, I learned how to work that way, right? So I have an incredible work ethic. my partner Steve always says, the one thing that you don't do well is rest. So he has
Mm.
these things that he calls Steve days. My boyfriend's name is Steve. So he has Steve days. And so I just spent 4.5 months in Mexico. And I said, okay, so I'm going to practice this Steve Day thing and have an Elizabeth Day, which meant I spent half the day reading a book, which of the healing, which is this whole journey, I forget what you called it, but the corridor really started by shuffling me through nature. We lived on a lot of acreage, and so we were always outside playing. We were in the snow, we were in the sun, we were in the rain. It really didn't matter. We swam a lot in different lakes and ponds and things like that. We were exposed to just a lot of things. My mom always said if you had any clue the things that you put in your mouth at 8, you'd probably be disgusted. And I think that it just kind of cracks me up. But anyway, when I was late in high school, I became very, very cognizant of bodies. I was a girl, right? A girl in the 70s, and the skinny thing was happening and the diet thing. And I read this book called Diet for a New America, which was basically all about being vegetarian. And I tried to do that, and that didn't work. So I tried several times, and that didn't work. And now I know better. But being shuffled into that media thing really made me aware of bodies, which is what took me into fitness. And
Exactly.
so that was my first degree. And I loved that first degree. And I still do. I still, every day, I'm like, as soon as we're done, I'm off for my walk, right? I like to walk, and you already saw the stick that I have and the weights. And I just still love that. So I did that for a long time. And then when I was, I think, 41 or 42, I'd been married to a second husband, and he was a great guy, but um, he didn't really know what to do with money. And I grew up, like I said, on these 2 farms, and I knew what to do with everything but the money. I had no idea, right? Because my mom didn't. I realized my mom didn't know. So how could she teach something she knew? You didn't know. She taught us how to can. She taught us how to grow food. She taught us how to butcher chickens. That's a whole story in itself. But she didn't know about money, and she was always financially stressed with my dad, which I realized had if you've studied the money thing at all, the belief systems underneath it is are really, really core to figuring this whole thing out for yourself. So then what happened is I remember he was making a ton of money, the second husband. And he came to me one day and he said, "Do you have a clue what we're supposed to do with all this extra money?" And I said, believe it or not, I said, because I didn't know any better, I said, "Well, you're the guy, you're supposed to know what to do with the money." Because that was my background, right? And he said, "Well, I don't know." And then when that happened, I read a letter to the editor in the Santa Barbara newspaper. And it was by this wonderful man named Walt. And I called him a curmudgeon, and he loved the word curmudgeon. I don't know if you know that word, curmudgeon. He was kind of grumpy and kind of wonderful all at the same time, right? And he was in his 70s and retired. And this letter to the editor basically was chastising people in Santa Barbara, because Santa Barbara, I don't know if you know Santa Barbara, California, it's very expensive. Just very, very expensive. It's got about the perfect weather on the face of the planet, right? Of all the places I've ever been. And his letter to the editor said, if you'd been doing with your money what you should have been doing with your money since you started making money, you would have money to buy a house in Santa Barbara and you would quit your complaining, right? But it wasn't that. His last paragraph said, "I don't know when, but we've got to start teaching our kids about money." And when you read something and it just kind of hits you in the face, I couldn't get that I couldn't get that question out of my mind. I'm like, yeah, if I learned when I was a kid, I would know what to do with the money. I would have a lot more money. I would have money to go on vacation like some of my friends did. And It's not that I wasn't making money, I just didn't know what to do with it, right? And so I just said, well, maybe I should teach a camp and teach the kids about money. And that's where my shift went from fitness into the financial education for kids. It took me a couple years to actually develop this fabulous camp. It was 5 days. It was all playful. It took me a while to learn how to make it playful and interactive. And then out of that, the money came out of that and was part of the game. And I did that for 15 years, and it was just fabulous. But in the process, I spent a lot of time in front of this thing, this computer screen thing, not really the phone, but definitely the computer. And I sat too much. So even though I was fit, a lot of people can relate. Even though I was fit, I didn't realize what the sitting was doing to my body. So that, and I was living in a house full of mold, and then I moved into another house full of mold, and then I took an antibiotic that caused neuropathy, and that made the mold worse. So eventually, I just had to kind of go back to the health piece, and that's kind of where I am today. So I do a little bit of both. I still manage the Money Game website, because the money game is the most profound financial education game on the planet. It's so much fun, and the kids learn so much. And I love coaching, even though I don't like the word coaching, I like the word guiding people to look differently. Look at their health differently. Look at this, what I call an indoctrination. So the word doctor rather than indoctrination, but look at both of those for themselves so they can get into a different lane. Just get out of this lane that you've been directed in that's not working, and find a lane that works for you, you know. So that's kind of where I am, 68, and still working on my health, but making progress and starting to really understand things. And I find it just incredibly joyous every single day. It's not work, it's play. And I find everywhere I go, people will say something to me, and I'll say, "Can I give you tweak?" Later, I'll hear that they did that tweak, and it's just profoundly satisfying to help people feel better, as you probably know.
Wow. Elizabeth Donati, it's an amazing journey, and you are in fact solving the problems. These are the biggest ones, like health and wealth. The both thing we are deficient in, and we got the challenges. I mean, say like the 8 billion people on the face of earth facing the issues that you are guiding through them. So you worked in both health and financial education, two areas people struggle with deeply. What do you think is the common thread behind why people feel so stuck in both?
Um, it, it's easy. They're not taught. We're not taught about money, and we're not taught about health. If you're lucky, you get a health class in high school, right? You might get a health class in high school, but what you're taught is, God only knows what you're taught. And if you're lucky in high school, you will get a I realize I need to turn some notifications off. Hang on 1 second. If you're lucky in high school, you might learn how to balance a checkbook, but probably not even that anymore, because nobody uses checkbooks, except we still use a checkbook like thing in our game. Um, so it's primarily because we're not taught. And the parents don't know how to teach it because they're confused. Uh, they weren't taught because their parents were just really working hard to make a living, right? So it's mostly because we're not taught, and we don't have we it's been an indoctrination in terms of the health part, because ever since the Rockefellers took over, and they took over they basically took over the medical schools. You probably know this already. And they got rid of all of the naturopaths, chiropractors, and things like that. All the what should be really medicine. And so we have shifted over the decades to this medicine and this drug and surgery and trusting the doctors that don't even know, right? So that's the frustrating part is you've got so many people. I live with two people that trust the medical system, and I don't trust it at all. I don't trust it at all. Years ago, when I got a bladder infection and I didn't have the herbs that I normally take, and I was visiting my mom and I couldn't get the herbs, and I took an antibiotic called Cipro, which I will tell you, you should never, ever, ever take Cipro. So if anybody hears this and opts not to take that antibiotic, I've done a good thing. But it can and often does turn into neuropathy, which is what it did in 2 weeks for me. And at that particular juncture, I went, hmm, I am never going to take another drug, and I'm never going to trust another doctor. And that's where I want people to get to. I want them to get to where they're not trusting the doctor implicitly. I'm not saying don't listen to a good doctor, like a functional medicine doctor or a naturopath or
Exactly.
something like that. The holistic, the people that look at this whole body. I mean, all three of us have whole bodies, right? Our mouths, the health of our mouths affects everything. How we stand, with this stick thing. I'm convinced that this stick and using this stick during the day and playing with this stick, the more we stand up tall, the better our bodies work, right? You know that. You both know that. All right, I'm
Elizabeth,
back.
yeah, yeah, back. I mean, I think
Esther
there
and
is,
Zafar are not back.
yeah. I can see you're still pick.
Technology and recording is so
Lost.
much fun, isn't it?
You're
I,
freeze right now.
yeah, yeah. You're frozen. We can just hear you. Yeah, I think you got some technical issues on your side. Elizabeth, can you hear us?
Oh, there you go. Yeah, you guys were like little black circles.
I don't know. We all.
So
we all three
can you
are.
guys see
We
me?
all. We can see you're still pick. We can't see you. Like there is no like mobility. There's a frozen picture.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
And we lost your voice ever since you put your stick
yeah.
down there.
It's yours keeps you guys.
Yeah, now you're back. I see you back now.
Okay,
Again, no,
you
no.
guys.
Can you repeat the last few
Okay,
sentences
yeah.
of your discussion?
Both of you guys. Yeah,
It's
I think.
it's
Yeah, I think what we were talking about was not trusting doctors implicitly.
yeah,
Learning,
yeah.
one of the Does that make? Did you hear that? So not yeah. So not
I
trusting the
just
doctor
lost.
to be like the boss, right? You need to be the boss. Yeah, I need to be the boss. You need to be the boss. And you need to be the boss of this, right? And if you give your power up to any doctor or any nutrition person or any fitness person for that matter, without questioning and making sure that this works for you and makes sense for you, you've got to make sure that you're in power, right? And the minute when I hear a client say, it's the doctor's fault that this happened. I go, no, 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 right? It's you have to take 100% responsibility. My boyfriend used to live on a piece of property with a gentleman who got esophageal cancer, and he was an alcoholic, and he ate terrible food, and he drank a ton of diet pop, diet Sprite, diet Coke, diet Pepsi, all the diet Cokes. And I remember we asked him one time, so what do you think caused your cancer? And he goes, it's the doctor's fault. I'll I'll never forget that. It's the doctor's fault. I mean, it wasn't the doctor's fault. He did it, right? Every single choice we make in life about what we put in our body, what we do with our body, it's our responsibility, you know? So I don't see you two. I only see me.
Yeah, again, thank you so much. I mean, I like to reflect on what you said. It's like, I mean, as you said, I mean, you got to be your own boss as long as health is concerned. It's so, how about the
Mhm.
ego of the professional doctors? I mean, they are, they are on the mountain of their ego. How do we tackle that? One thing. And lastly, I mean, last night we were talking about the AI taking help from there. There are a lot of mistakes on AI also. So,
Oh, yeah.
how do we overcome all these issues?
Well, the thing about the doctor and the ego is if you go to a doctor and you see that is the ego is greater than the curiosity about what's going on in your body, you need to fire that doctor and get a different doctor. I mean, that's simple, right? There are a lot of doctors
Exactly.
who are curious. They're curious. And there's more and more all the time who are going into these other fields that are looking at whole bodies, right? And it's not just your body. It's like, well, yeah, it is, but it's also what you're thinking about and who you're surrounded by and the stress of life and these little things with the EMF and let's not even get into the whole mold and Lyme situation, heavy metals and parasites and stuff like that. But one of the things I like to teach my clients is that there's no such thing as a diagnosis. A diagnosis is simply a label that's put on a classification or a group of symptoms. There is no such thing as fibromyalgia. There's no such thing. All that stands for is all of your pain, you have pain all over your body, right? There's no such thing as arthritis. Arthritis is simply my joints are inflamed and hurt. It's not a disease, right? It is a symptom. I call symptoms clues. So it's like all day long, our body gives us clues. Are we thinking and doing the things that make us happy? If we're not, we're going to get a clue. Our low back's going to hurt. We're going to get a headache. We're going to get stress in our chest or stress in our shoulders, or we get a stomach ache. There's clues all day long. So in terms of the ego and the doctor, if I find a doctor, like I had a doctor who, um, when when 2.5 years ago, when I stopped sleeping and started having issues with twitching in my legs, which I still have on and off. It gets better and gets worse, and it's still getting a handle on it. I'm getting a handle on it. And I had a little bit of a tremor, and the tremor was being caused by the mold I was living in, and I knew this. And she, because she was focused on the fact that her mother had died of Parkinson's, which is also not a disease, she kept sending me articles on Parkinson's. And I would say, I don't believe in Parkinson's. I don't have Parkinson's. I've been living in mold all these years. Now I know this. I didn't know it for a long time. We finally found most of the mold, but I still needed to leave the house, right? Mold is nasty, by the way. I don't know if you've looked at mold, but there's just some people just can't handle mold, and I seem to live in one of these bodies that doesn't like the mold. So she kept sending me these articles on Parkinson's, and I just would get pissed off. And her mother died of Parkinson's, but all her mother died of was something they hadn't figured out that was causing all those symptoms. And I kept telling her, I know what's causing the tremor. The tremor is being caused from some long COVID symptoms and the mold, right? And now that I'm out of the mold and I'm mostly recovered, I have almost no tremor at all. I don't have Parkinson's. And finally, one day, I just lambasted her back on an email, and we were friends. And I said, stop with the Parkinson's. If you send me one more article, I don't ever want to see you again. So, and she said, well, and she got all huffy about it. So she did have a little ego, right? She was kind of messy, and I haven't seen her since. But that's the kind of thing that if I hadn't been the kind of person that grew up on farms and was strong and just don't even, right? Don't mess with me. I might have bought the whole idea that, oh my God, I have Parkinson's and I'm going to die and there's all this stuff. It's like, no, I know what it is. And stop telling me that's what's wrong. And stop trying to give me 3 drugs for my twitchy legs because they're not, it's not restless leg. It's also neurological, right? So you get what I'm saying. You just have to fire those doctors, right? And in terms of AI is programmed by the system, right? So one of the
Exactly.
things that I talk about in my book, and one of the things that I teach my clients is that yes, AI is amazing for certain things, but you got to know it's censored, right? There is a AI that isn't censored. I mentioned it yesterday in our AI call, which is always so fun. And it's
Yeah.
called Brighteon.ai, Brighteon.ai, not censored, on purpose, uncensored. You can pull so much good information from that. It doesn't function exactly like a Chat GPT or a Claude or the other ones. However, you can go research a topic and you're going to get the right information. So that's the other thing with the AI is the people using AI for health, and there's millions and millions now. You have to know when it does a good job, when to question it, and when not to believe it at all. And that just takes experience.
Wow, that's amazing. I mean, getting signals from your own body that it start getting you signals. I mean, if got something wrong, but and be your own boss as long as health is concerned. Don't rely too much on doctors. Study for yourself, research your body, and just align the knowledge accordingly. Now, I'll request Dr. Aswan to please introduce yourself and ask what you have to ask from Elizabeth Donati.
Okay. Hi, Elisabeth. So, I am Dr. Aswan. I am a fitness manager from Arsa Fitness Club here in Pakistan, Islamabad, and I am working in fitness from last 8 years. Basically, I'm a dietitian. So, I
I uh, I can't. Okay.
did you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah, I can
I,
hear you. I
I
mean,
heard the last little bit about being in fitness for the last few years and a dietitian.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear part of it.
Okay. So, I
We just
think
have a bad connection. That's all. We just have a bad connection.
I think the most doctors did not about don't have the well knowledge about the disorders and the disease. Do you think that?
would you like to repeat your questions, Dr. Asfan?
Yes, I think most of the doctors.
I all I
The
heard was
question is for the Elizabeth. I think most of the doctors did not about. They don't have knowledge.
Not a problem. You can introduce yourself again, Dr. Asfan, so that I mean, while she comes back, you can just let us know your journey, life journey. By the end, she comes back, you can ask questions again. But till then, please get me your life journey.
Okay, I'm Dr. Aswan. I am fitness consultant here, and from last 8 years, I'm in the fitness industry. I'm a dietitian. I started my journey as a personal trainer. Then I go to I completed my studies in dietitian. Then I go in depth with fitness and with diet. Then I know uh, at this point the most of the diseases we have, that is our lifestyle, not the autoimmune disorders, that is the metabolic disorders that we have, because we don't have our active lifestyle.
So, what's your question
So my question
to
is for
I agree.
Elizabeth.
Um,
Did you hear me?
what? Yeah,
So what's
So
your
I have
question
noticed.
to Elizabeth
yeah, I
Donati?
can
I
hear
mean,
you.
ask your question. Yeah, come again.
So I have noticed most of the doctors did not explain us that the specific condition we have, that is a syndrome or a disease. Do you really think that it is?
Well, I think I understood your point. I don't think
My
most doctors are trained in root cause. They're not trained to actually ask you, spend an hour, even two, right? Looking at history. Like, how did you get to this point, right?
exactly,
How did you get so that how did you get to this point, right? They don't. And
exactly.
because the doctors are trained by the pharmaceutical companies, it's just a mess. We really do have a bad connection, but we'll just get through it. So, because they're not trained in this root cause, and quite honestly, virtually every doctor I've ever been to is out of shape and not very healthy themselves.
Exactly.
It's really, I remember in college, oh my goodness, in college I took nutrition classes from women that were this big around. And I was 20, 21 years old, and I'm like, wait, why am I, right? I'm this size, eating what I'm eating, and you're that size, and you're trying to tell me what I should be eating? This is you're an example. Like when the health in the country are this big and they're out of shape, right? I mean, finally in the U.S. we've got Mr. Kennedy, right? We've got Robert Kennedy, who's strong as an ox, and strong and fit, and he represents health, right? I'll never understand why people think he's dangerous. Oh my God, look at him. He's like the picture of health, and he's how old? He's 70 something. He's amazing. But you're right. And it's just simply because they're not trained. They don't have time in the United States. I don't know about the medical system in Pakistan at all, so I can't speak to that. But it's probably similar if their schools are also controlled by pharmaceutical companies. They learn drugs, they learn surgery, they learn labels, and they don't have enough time with people, and they're not trained in mold and Lyme and nutrition and sedentary and standing, and they're not trained in EMF and exhaust and trauma, and they're not trained in
I think I mean she's got bad signals. Okay, how about your own diagnosis and in the then alignment of the treatment that doctors are getting you? And she's back. Let me add her back to.
I just keep getting cut out.
This is
Yeah,
your
it's
country do
I
have bad
I
signal, I
don't have
suppose.
I
So
don't have a wired.
yeah, not a problem. Can I ask the next question, please?
Well, it's because I'm on a Wi-Fi signal. In when I have my own, go for it.
Not a problem. Thank you. You've said we are not teaching kids how money actually works. If you could change just one thing about how families approach money with their kids, what would it be?
It would be for parents to actually show the kids what they're doing. They try to protect the kids. the parents don't want to look stupid, and they want their kids to think that they know what they're doing, right? But most of the time they don't. In any area, we're just big kids, right? That's all we are. It's all three of us are just big kids trying to figure it out in the world, right? We're there's no such thing as perfect, and there's no such thing as really figuring it out. But the thing with money is that most parents, because they don't know, they want to protect their kids. And when I was doing a lot of camps, Camp Millionaire in Santa Barbara, one of the things that I would tell the parents is, look, your child wants to know that you're not perfect. They need to know that you're screwing this up sometimes, right? You're buying things you shouldn't buy. You're not budgeting. You're just messing it up. The kid wants to know this. So, one of the things I always urge the parents to do is involve your child in every aspect of their life.
There is again some technical glitch on our side. She's got bad signal, I suppose so. So, how about Aspan? Would you like to ask next questions like about? I mean, you can ask questions about health, and the rest of the questions I can handle. Is it
Okay,
okay with you?
okay.
Anya?
No problem.
Okay.
I can ask next question.
Okay, not a problem. It is on her side just because she's traveling and she's on a place where there is some internet issues. So let her come back. But again, meantime, you can tell us about yourself. How about, I mean, what are you doing these days? What's up?
I during these days I work on the metabolic disorders. Like everyone have a belly that is not good thing.
Mm,
Every man, every woman have big bellies in Pakistan, not in Pakistan, all over the world.
mm,
So because of their lifestyle, in lifestyle, I think we have five main regions that we have to work there. Number one, nutrition. Number two, exercise. Walking is not an exercise. Everyone think walking is exercise, but walking is not an exercise. The strength
yeah.
training.
Okay.
Okay, the strength training is main thing because we are a human. Okay, we need muscles. We don't need any fat. So when we don't train our muscles did not respond us and did not make us strong. And then we manage stress is the main thing. Like when we are stressed up for 2 minutes, literally our next 24 hours will clashed, and we don't think right and we don't make any decisions right. And then we do sleep management. In these days our sleep is very disturbed, and because of our lifestyle. And then we have to manage our again weight. Now weight body weight is composed by different things like muscles, like a liquid in our body like the water, fluids, and fat. Each and everything, they make us our body weight. The body who have lean muscles more than fat is a good body composition, and the man or a woman have a good body composition with lean muscles and low body fat percentage. She is a fit, like Elizabeth. She's 68 years old right now, but she don't have any kind of belly. She has lean muscle mass right now. She's fit, and the composition which have a lot of fat and low muscle mass, that is a bad body composition, and a person who has this, he is a very ill person.
Okay. Okay, Dr. Aspan, thank you so much for demotivating me just because I ever thought that that walking is good. I mean, it's good for health, but I mean, I
Walking
was
is a good
wrong.
activity, but walking is
Yeah.
not a good exercise.
Thanks for proving me wrong. Again, how about the now? Just because the diet we have, all around. I mean, do you think is it balanced diet, or I mean, we need some we need to like just
No,
requirement?
our body needs three things, three main things: the carbohydrates, the protein, and the fats. A diet which have complex carbohydrates, a good amount of protein, and a healthy fats, which is a good diet. And if a diet uh, which don't have any of these, this is not a balanced diet, and it will make us nutritional deficiencies in our body. So we have to follow a balanced diet.
Okay, that's cool. I mean, Elizabeth Donati is trying to make her connection. I'm connected with her on LinkedIn, and she's getting me the signal that she's trying to move her computer to the office because she needs some time. Okay, okay. How about your? I mean, how about your journey on the social media?
So it started from last 5 months when I read about the metabolic disorders, and I have started. I quit my job and started my own social media because I want to approach more peoples and give them awareness about the metabolic disorders. Right now, I am working on PCOS. In Pakistan, 58% females have PCOS. PCOS is a metabolic syndrome which destroy their overall body. Like she, they eat less, but they eat more weight. That is very destroying their body. And they has like facial hairs like men. They have overall body hairs like men. That is not a good thing. So I have decided to change their lifestyle and make their life with fitness, because right now they even consult with any gynecologist. They give them birth controlling pills and also insulin resistance.
Hey, welcome back, birdie girl. I mean, this is much better, and then you relax. And I was just
Yeah.
talking to Dr. Aswin. He kept me demotivating as I only walk along and for 1.5 hour every day, and I was so satisfied that I'm doing great thing to my body. But today he got me. I mean, he proved me wrong. He said, "No, man. I mean, walking is no exercise." So I have to, mend my ways now and pull up my socks now. Okay, back to you, Elizabeth.
Yeah,
Would you?
luckily,
Yeah.
luckily, the old couple that I'm living with and helping, they're gone. They went to church, so like, so I
Okay.
grabbed my cord and I'm stealing their office.
Cool, cool. It's okay. Again, the my question again back to you is why our education system is not teaching us financial education. She's again down. I mean, her link is again down. Okay, back to you, your journey. And okay, Dr. Aswan, it takes me to the moon when you say that I have decided to change the lifestyle of the people around you or in your influence. So it reminds me. It reminds me of. Uh, it reminds me a sentence from the former president, U.S. President Obama. I was just reading his life journey, and when he started his political struggle in the United States of America, it was one he was a criminal psychology teacher in a college in USA,
Uh-huh.
and he told his friend Obama told his friend that I have decided to become the president of USA, and he was nobody then when he said this. And this sentence was so strong. And
Hmm.
since I am also a man of the abundance, and I keep talking to the people all around the globe, those
Yeah.
who are working on mental well-being. And you are what you talk to yourself. You are what you talk to yourself. So I mean, now, I mean, Aswan is the next person in my life. Aswan was telling me, Donati, when you were not around, he said, I have decided to change the lifestyle of the people who are in my circle or whom I can influence. This is such a wonderful. That's
It,
all
Thank you.
fingers up,
Thank you.
it
thumbs up
really
to you.
is. It
Okay.
really is.
So, Janadi, back to you. So my question is, why our education system is not teaching the financials, the financial system, just because everybody is directly or indirectly has to deal with money.
Yeah.
Why the systems are not teaching us money? Not
Yeah.
in your country. I mean,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, it's definitely not indirectly. It's definitely directly. As
yeah.
far as I know, it's really hard to go to any store and get food for free, right? You can grow a garden, which I normally do, but there's a lot of different reasons. I mean, there's a little controversy over, well, maybe they want they, you know what I mean by they. I call the because we say, well, they are doing this and they're doing that and the they. So there is some context around the they wants to keep us stupid, right? Wants to keep us dependent. So there is that. I think, however, that in the United States, in terms of financial education, because I've been in it for so long, not only do it's hard to teach something you don't know, right? Like it's Aspen, that your first name? Aspen?
Yes, my
Okay.
name is.
Okay. So when you couldn't teach fitness because you didn't know it, right?
Exactly.
But now that you
Exactly.
now that you know it and you're still learning it, if you're smart,
Exactly. Every day I learn a lot of things.
yeah, I mean to me my
Every day is new learning.
oh God, me too. I like to say what do I not have right yet? You know? When people ask me, well, what do you think about such? And I have gotten the last few years where I say, what I currently think about this is this, but I may be wrong. It may
Exactly.
change, right? Just like I spent my 30s and mid 40s in eating low fat because we were taught that low fat was what you were supposed to do. I know
Exactly.
I know that that was detrimental to my hormones and some other things, right?
Right now I am working on PCOS.
Ah, good for you.
In Pakistan, 58% females are suffering from these PCOS and PCOD. 58% females because of their unhealthy lifestyle.
Yeah.
And when they reach out their doctors and they give them the medicines, that's birth controlling pills or any steroidal drugs, and they after 1 month or 2 months, then they are back again,
Yeah,
and their journey.
it doesn't work.
Exactly.
It doesn't
Exactly.
work. So frustrating. So frustrating. So partly the education thing with both health and fitness, I mean, with both health and money, is that the teachers don't know it. The teachers don't know it. They're not practicing it. They're so busy what we call teaching to the test in the United States. To me the only evidence of success is, can you apply it to your life and affect your life, right? And we teach so screwy in this country for the most part. Now, I'm not talking about private schools, right? I'm not talking about some amazing private schools, especially schools that use something called accelerated learning. So it's all like a big conversation with the kids. But in general, the kids are taught to memorize things that are not relevant, right? That's one of the reasons that the money thing always worked, because the kids were interested. It was relevant, and we taught it in a way that was relevant. But they're being forced to learn stuff that's not relevant. They don't know, have a clue what to do with this information. They're being forced to sit in classrooms and be taught by teachers who don't really want to be there. And then you've got the phones and the social media, and you've got all the awful food, and it's just no wonder it's just such a mess. It's just a mess. So
Exactly.
that's a pretty little sound, whatever that is.
I'm sorry.
I
I'm getting call on my phone. I'm sorry. Okay.
That's
So,
okay.
Asfan, I mean, your next question on health to Donati. So
So you have,
ask your next question.
okay.
Okay, so right now, uh, what do you think when we teach our children about how we do teach our children about our fitness or nutrition, like
Why
in these busy days?
it is such a big question. You know, you've got there's a funny new saying that a lot of the moms are using in the United States, and I just discovered it. They call themselves crunchy. So the definition, evidently, of a crunchy mom, and now that I understand what it is, I kind of get it. So is a mom that is taking all the toxins out of the house, doesn't feed their kids sugar and crap. The kids only eat food like real food, not stuff that comes in a box and a bag and a frozen thing or ugh. And I applaud this whole movement of crunchy moms because I think it's such a cute phrase. And I get it because I've always eaten real food. I've never eaten junk food. We grew up on farms. I grew up on fruits and vegetables and meat, and I continued that, even though I was,
That's why you are. That's why you are right now healthy.
yeah. So I've always done that, right? And so I've been very, very fortunate and very grateful. But when I look at the things that most like non-crunchy moms feed their kids, right? I think that well, Zafar, you might be old enough, but Aspen, you probably aren't. So a long time ago, um, when the whole hippie movement came up in the United States and people started eating yogurt and sprouts, you were called a granola person because you were eating granola, right? So I think the whole crunchy mom comes from that. It's like the next step up from granola. But when I see, okay, so I don't know what your grocery stores look like in Pakistan. I obviously have never seen one. However, if you go into a grocery store in the United States, 70 to 80%, or even maybe even 85 or 90% of the food like products are not
Exactly.
food. They are not food. I was just in Mexico, and the little stores in Mexico, it's all chips and candy and
The frozen foods.
oh, it's disgusting. I would rather see people eat frozen vegetables or frozen fruit than the stuff in a box and a bag. The people that I live with they're in 90 and they both have serious health issues. They both on a lot of drugs. I love them both dearly. They're on a lot of drugs and they eat real food. However, they have eaten a lot of stuff that has not been real food and they continue to eat desserts that they buy from this one grocery store. And I have looked, they like cake. They just like different cakes, right? And so I know when my mother made a cake, and maybe I don't know how you guys make cakes. There's flour, right? And of course, now you would want to get organic flour because it's covered with glyphosate and sugar and some kind of fat, right? And my mom used terrible fats, and now we know better, right? We know what fats to use. Probably a flavoring like vanilla or cinnamon or a spice, right? And some eggs. That's what was in a cake, right? It was not a problem having a piece of cake once in a while.
Exactly.
Right. But now, if you look at the ingredient list, there's 4 million things in that cake that aren't food. And especially iron. And then when you build up iron, oh, that's a whole nother story. When iron builds up in your body, I don't know if you're aware of iron and copper. If you're not, I'll send you some good stuff that has to do with iron and copper. It's a really good thing to learn. And so, you've got these kids that they go into these grocery stores, right? And if you're aware of what the food industries are doing, you know that they have chemistry labs in there that are designed to make the food so that it hits your pleasure center, right? So you want more of that thing. And it's addicted. So the kids are addicted to cereal and addicted to so much stuff that I call not food. And because the parents are busy, the parents are not educating themselves. And one of the things that was really interesting in Mexico is when there were lots of families down there, obviously on vacation, whether they were there for a week or two or whatever. If there was an overweight family, their kids were overweight. And if there was a lean, healthy family, the kids were lean and healthy.
Exactly.
So people say, "Oh, it's genetic." No, it's not genetic. It's you're doing the same lifestyle. You're eating the same things. The
Yes, yes.
fat, the kids,
That is a big problem.
it's a huge problem, and it makes me so sad.
You
You know,
know, in Pakistan, the children, the growing children are anemic right now.
there in there. What's the word you used?
Anemic. Iron
Anemic,
deficiency. Anemic.
anemic,
Anemia. They have anemia.
because they're not eating meat. Are you guys not eating meat?
No, the children, but new baby children are anemic because their parents are not eating meat or iron-rich foods.
Right.
They have insulin resistance in their genetics right now.
Ugh. Yeah, it's all, and then that's all lifestyle, right? Back to that thing that we were
That is our lifestyle.
talking.
Well, let me pitch in with the idea. This is just because of economic conditions. Do we have the people do eat? This we are just coming. The Eid is coming in like 2 months, or 1.5 months now.
Yeah.
They get to eat meat in once a year. That's one time. Just because the economic condition is so down here, inflation is so high. It's like it's like a dream having meat or like mutton on one's table. So as last night we were discussing, when all of the with Kimberly and we all were there, and and if you allow me, I can ask you a question
Yeah.
about health and wealth.
Go
just
for it.
because just because I am the founder of Global Abundance Organization, and my mission is to unleash abundance of health, wealth, and happiness. And my question is how to trust AI regarding health and wealth both.
Well, I think I talked about that a little bit earlier. You have to know what you can ask. You have to know how to ask it, and you have to make sure that you question it, and you have to know which platform to use, right? So one of the things I use Chat GPT mostly, and here's an example of what really works well. I will stack things, and I know, Aspen, you understand stacking. You know, stacking supplements, stacking foods, whatever. But I want to use electrolytes in the morning because that's, for me, that's a huge thing. I realized a long time ago, a couple of years ago actually, that I was not eating nearly enough salt. Even though I was eating a lot of salt, I needed more salt, and I needed more potassium and more magnesium because of the mold toxicity and stuff that was in me. So I have seriously upped that, but I also like taking amino acids in the morning, and I take some different brain things. And then I also love hydrogen water. And then there's a couple other things that I take even before I eat anything. So one of the things that ChatGPT is really good for is to figure out, in what order do you stack those, right? Do I take the hydrogen water before this, or do I take that before the hydrogen water? Can I mix this with that, or should I take them separately? Things like that. And ChatGPT is brilliant for stuff like that. It's also brilliant for, we talked about this yesterday in our AI group. It's also really, really good for finding what we call the therapeutic dose of something. So let's say you want to take creatine, right? Which is really, really hot now, and I know, absolutely know, it's amazing for the brain and the body. I've been taking it for about a year now. It's an amazing product. And so let's say you want to take creatine, but you don't know whether you should take it in the morning. You don't know whether you should take it in the afternoon.
I have been using it from last 5 years.
Good, good. It's
I
wonderful.
am big fan of creatine.
Oh, me too. Me too. I've recently upped because I don't sleep well still. And I learned that it really helps with sleep deprivation. So that's the only reason I think my brain works, right? I mean, I've been awake since 3:45, and I couldn't get my legs warm, and it was a whole thing, right? But the 10 to 15 grams of creatine I take during the day, I know unequivocally that it helps. And the point of AI is that it helps you know, do you take it with food? Do you take it not with food? Is it like because my AI knows me, I put a ton of information and history, right? So it knows me. It also knows when I question everything, right? It will say, "I know that you don't believe that, so but okay." Right? I love being able to ask it what things to put together because it'll say, "Well, this is designed to hit this system. This is designed to hit this system. So if you do it together, you're counteracting them. Or yes, this will enhance that." So there's certain questions that you can ask it that are brilliant. And the therapeutic dose thing is really is I found I discovered this several months ago because I was looking at a couple, I forget what compounds or what vitamins I was looking at, and I wanted to know what the I was trying to pick it out of my it's called a full script, okay, where I go and buy vitamins and stuff at a discount. And so I was trying to find, because I'm so picky about my vitamins. I do not want crap in my vitamins. I want them pure, and I want to make sure that they're therapeutic doses. So that's when I started really using ChatGPT for therapeutic doses. And it'll go and it'll pull the research and say, well, all the research, like there's certain amino acids, the research is on X amount. But then you go and you look in the supplements and it's like a third or a quarter of the therapeutic dose in 2 capsules. Well, see if so, then I'll say, well, is there a product that actually contains the therapeutic dose? And that's how I pick things. And so there's just wonderful things that you can use AI for. But if you ask mainstream AI, whether it's Claude or Grok or Chat or I haven't used Notebook LM much yet for health, so I'm about to get into that. So that'll be a new one for me. But if you ask it for, like, I have a Facebook group of over 16,000 people that focuses on a substance called chlorine dioxide. Chlorine dioxide, yeah. Well, it's like I don't know, a little more than 16,000 people. Well, if I ask ChatGPT about chlorine dioxide, you know what I'm going to get. It's not safe, da 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 da, or ivermectin,
Exactly.
da 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 da. But if I go to Brighteon.ai and ask it, I'll get a lot of stuff. Now I don't need to because I've got just a ton of resources already in the files department, and I know where to go to get it with Andreas and all that stuff. But that's my point, is if you're asking it something that the mainstream medical does not want you to use, you're going to get the censorship. It will not give you the right information. And that's when I teach people to go to Brighteon.ai and or just simply ask ChatGPT to pull up the research. Don't ask it to give you a judgment. Don't ask you to give you an answer. Just tell it, show me the latest 10, information, the last 5 years, the studies on X.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah. And that works really, really well. But if you ask it to give you an opinion, what do you think of X? And our mainstream medical is against it, which they're against most health stuff. It will give you cautions so you really have to know how to use it.
Okay, thank you. Elizabeth Nade, my next question is, what does it actually look like for someone to take their power back, whether it's their money or health? I mean, I'm talking about in terms of AI and the doctors.
There's so many layers to that. Aspen, you probably have learned it too when you're working with people. One of the key things that I really, really notice with people is they have to really like themselves. I know I'm going to a
Exactly.
baseline. You've got to love this thing that you're in, right? And I say this is the container I'm experiencing life with, because if I didn't have this container,
Exactly. Exactly.
right? I mean, I went down to the dock this morning and just watched these people live on a little lake. But the point is, there's so many layers, and it's built on a love of self and a value. You've got to
Exactly.
value yourself. And until you value yourself, you're not going to learn to trust yourself. So many people, they don't trust themselves. They just
Most of the peoples don't care themselves, don't love themselves.
No. And it's just so sad. It's just so sad to me. And I have a lot of conversations with this older.
Yesterday I have a patient. She's only 26 years old. She is suffering from high cortisol levels, a lot of stress. So I talk her around 1 hour and 20 minutes. I only motivate her that she has the power to control herself. She has the power to recover that specific condition. But most of the people don't understand this. They have their energy in their selves to love their self, to care of their selves, because everyone uh, knows it.
Yeah. So you really have to start at that core level. And the other thing that seems to help is somehow, and you've got to, whenever you're working with somebody and you've figured this out, hopefully, is that you've got to meet them where they are, right? You can't pull them and invite them to come to
Exactly.
you unless you go to them and you have compassion and understanding, and you get it, right? You just, I understand, and can I show you a different way? Obviously they're working with us, so they're ready, but you still have to treat it with what we call kid gloves. Are you ready to take it on? Are you ready to own this thing this beautiful thing?
Exactly.
Yeah, and if they are, then you have a little window to educate them on why the main medical doesn't work. Giving them statistics really, really works. Um, and the more you can get them to open, right? I had there's an activity in our camp that I call the three most powerful words and the three most disempowering words. I forget what I call it, but so I'll have the kids do this. And I'll say, well, take your hands and go like that. And they will. And I'll say, you just said, I know that, right?
Exactly.
So when I know that this is your brain, and you just closed it.
Yes.
So the three most powerful words are, I wonder why. I wonder why. I wonder why. This is why, Zafar, I was telling you yesterday, that the more curious you are with your guests and your everything, the more curious, the more things will open up to you. So getting somebody to be curious rather than I know that. Here's an example. And I don't know where you guys stand on this, so I'm putting my foot out in some water, right? Is that there's this whole thing with vaccines. I am against vaccines. I've studied them. One of the things that COVID did, aside from kill a lot of people, the medical system killed a lot of people, but is that it made at least people in America, but I think people all over the world, stand up and go, huh, maybe, maybe we need to rethink this whole vaccine thing. Well, we have Kennedy, right? And if you're following anything that Kennedy's doing over here, he's making some great strides. But the lady that I'm living with, she is indoctrinated into mainstream medical vaccine. She's had all her shots over and over and over. She doesn't understand that a thing that she had with a face nerve had to do with a COVID shot. I'm not going to tell her because I'm not going to go there. But yesterday she said something about Kennedy killing a bunch of people. There, she was going to, he was going to kill a bunch of kids with measles. And I couldn't hold my tongue. And I said, you're wrong. I will give you the information, but you're wrong. Luckily, she's open because she trusts me with the information that I know. She's taken a lot of my suggestions. I still can't get her to drink enough water or enough electrolytes, and she can't figure out why her fascia's all, she's all messed up. But again, at least she's open a little bit at 90 years old. I can pry her open just a little bit and feed a little bit in. And I find that the more you feed into these people and you get them open, the more that they kind of blossom. And it's also, I know I talked about, I had the stick, right? There's an aspect of physiology, and you might know it already. When you look down, Like so many people are looking down now to look at the stupid phones, right? They spend hours and hours like this.
Exactly.
When you take your eyes and your head down, what it does in your physiology and in your brain is it puts you at a subservient,
Hmm.
dangerous, I am not safe position. I don't know if you knew this. But if you get somebody to bring it up, right? I have a stand. So when I am looking at my phone, I've got a stand and I'm up. And normally the computer's down here, but you saw before I had it up. I have
Exactly.
the computer up. So when I'm standing, and I'm very aware, I made this decision decades ago that I would go to my grave standing up tall, right? And that's why I work on it. And what's happening now is our cultures, all of them, are looking down and they're contracting. You know what I mean? They're
Hmm.
contracting. I'm constantly working with my boyfriend to bring his chest up and bring his head up. And, I finally took a picture of him and go, I know you think you're standing tall, but you're not. Your head is forward. You've got to bring this head back. Get your whole body on the wall and realize. And he did that. Like he stood up, and it's one of my favorite things to do with clients, by the way, is make them stand against a wall. Have you ever done this? Make them stand against a wall like this. And they realize, oh, wow, I had no idea that I'm not even beginning to stand tall. But when you get somebody to open up their chest, and it opens up your heart, right? And when you clamp down and you look down, no wonder people are so screwed up. I mean, they're not looking at the sky. They're not standing on the earth. They're not in the sun anymore. It's really easy to see how we've screwed this up. We have screwed this up and we need to unscrew it. Just one person at a time, like you said. And I want to applaud you. I mean, Zafar, I love the fact that you want to do this globally, but your nephew has realized that he really needs to influence his circle, right? Because every time you influence somebody in your circle, the little ripple is going to go bigger and bigger and bigger, right?
Exactly.
So there's a place for, and there's the right place for both of those approaches. You know.
To me, I mean, I like to reflect what Dr. Aswan said for the lady. This part of the world, since we are at so low self-esteem, and we think this part of the and we've been bullied. I mean, and you are taking pride on being a farm girl coming from the village and having the original Janan food and all stuff, and that's why you stand tall, just because you've been brought up in village with the customs and with the centuries old stories, told through, heart to heart and coming to you, the intellect, and centuries of intellect. You have that, and you stand tall, and you are all against the anything that is alien to your body, or like you are operating on first principle. You are thinking for yourself. You're not taking anybody's lead, but you using your own head. I mean, it's not. I mean, you're not taking lead from media. This part of the world where we live, we all take directions from media. This is the social media or the mainstream media is driving our homes. That's how we live. Is, I mean, it's been taught by the media, and we are following it blindly. So you people are operating on the first principle. We are not even thinking about this.
I know.
One thing. Secondly, we are bullied throughout. I mean, through the course. I mean, in the especially female sector, the segment of our society, and they do not have any empowerment. They as being daughter, being wife, being a sister. I mean, they are generally. I mean, it's not true to everyone, but I mean, generally,
Yeah.
they are treated as the second or third grade citizen. They are here to serve the male. Since we are living in male dominant society, this is changing fastly. I mean, this is also a fact. But again, the huge lot is there which is suffering from this. So low self esteem, being bullied, or like, I mean, having the low. I mean, looking low on ourselves,
Mhm.
and in financials especially. So since, I mean, this part of the world, I mean, we are financially challenged, and that's why everything is challenged. consequently. So that's our side of the story, and yours is, I mean, you're operating on first principle. That's amazing. That makes Elon Musk and Elon Musk, and that I mean, I like to ask Dr. Aswan to have his reflections. I mean, how why her why his patient was to like, I mean, was not opening up to what he was guiding her. So back to you, Dr. Asfan, and then I like Donati to ask you that what makes you you? Is it, yeah? I mean,
No,
here this.
I'll
I
think
mean,
about that while he's talking.
you know, the same point is same. You're coming from a farm, from a village, and you're so proud, you're standing tall, and that gets you the pride, and that's what you're educating, teaching. We both come from the village also, from the far-flung area, which is wide apart from the civilization. But how, since we've been like mastered for over centuries and centuries. So that's, I mean, the scarcity. That's my fight. That's my real war. I'm on war against scarcity. I mean, I'm trying to tune myself into abundance, and to trying the globe and the old people of my influence, and even talking to you, reaching to you out. I want to have your say also. How are you have